Please pray with me for a moment. Lord, you give us hope every day. May the words that I am about to share bring hope and light to those who hear them. Amen. Hope springs eternal. The reading just said that hope is not an emotion, it is a cognitive process. Not sure I entirely agree with that, because I think it is fundamental to the human being. Hope and love are the things which set us aside from others, set us aside from other animals in general, and enable us to achieve great things, both in the face of adversity, but also in the face of improbability. We are in the process of celebrating the 50 years of MCC. And this is the 4th decade that we're doing. And as I thought about this, thought about the fact that, in truth, hope has been at the foundation of MCC right from the beginning. In the midst of a suicide attempt, Troy Perry was rescued by a friend who found him. And as he lay in his hospital bed, believing that God could not love him anymore, and that the church had abandoned him, something in him said, start a church. That was 1968, and here we are. A worldwide organisation, the world's oldest predominantly LGBT organisation, the only Christian church to found a synagogue in the United States, and the oldest organisation in the LGBT world to own property in the United States. And we cover, well, I don't think we've got anything in Antarctica, but the other continents of this world are covered. We are no longer the LGBT church. We are no longer the church with AIDS. We survived the late 70s, 80s and 90s. And in the face of that adversity, a community came together and campaigned for healthcare, for awareness. The start of the World AIDS Day, the decision that we would not die, we would fight. That springs from hope. A hope that not everyone will suffer. A hope that those who died did not do so in vain. In the UK, that is how we talk about Remembrance Day, which is coming up soon. The armistice, the hope that those wars would not be repeated. In the 90s, we fought for justice and equality. And come 1998, when I turned 20, we reached a point where acceptance and equality in the Western world was a foregone conclusion. It was a matter of time. Not an if, but a when. A when would legalised homophobia be a thing of the past. We still live in hope for that in places. Hope has underpinned the whole history of MCC, and it continues to underpin our work. Hope for a future that could be different. Hope that everyone in the world experiences the liberation that we know is true. Hope that marriage equality and civil rights will spread everywhere. And today, I guess, hope that life will be fair and reasonable. But all of this started with an audacious hope. But hope is way beyond MCC and way beyond the rights of the LGBT community, because we have a mission and a ministry in this city to help those who have no homes, to help those who have no places to go, those who tonight will experience very cold temperatures without a warm fire to sit next to. without a blanket to cuddle up under. Hope does come from adversity. It is what prompts survival. It is what gives us the courage to pick up and start again. It's what makes people marry again after a disaster, a divorce, or death. It's what made this country rebuild itself after war. It's also the impossible. It's following the dream. There is absolutely no rational explanation for the space race, except that we hoped that we could get there and we wanted to know more. Human beings are driven by a desire to go further, know more, to hope in the impossible. We push ourselves every day, whether it is to change the world or change the life of the person next to us. Hope will triumph over fear. I stand here today because I believe in hope. Because despite some tough times in my life, I get myself back up and I start again. Because this summer, despite 2 losses, Andrew and I embarked on IVF, and the impossible is true. Some of you may have noticed I've done a little less physically around the place for the last few weeks. That's because I've been banned from all lifting and carrying. Because hopefully in the late spring there will be a baby Ramage in this church. That is a hope that I clung to through many, many years of hurt. And I know many families out there who have the same experience, all clinging to a hope that what we wish for and pray for can be possible. And for us with modern medicine, and apparently God's hand, it can be true. Many people here have a different story of hope, a different thing which they thought at one point would be impossible but has become true. And many sit with still a hope that their life can be what they want it to be. Hope isn't a certainty. It doesn't come with guarantees. In fact, it's almost the opposite, because often what we hope for most, what we wish for, is not what we end up getting, but what we end up getting is what we need. I very much doubt that the people that we work with at Street Church, or that come here and just have a cup of tea at the end of our service, hope that that's what their Sunday evening finishes with. I'm sure that some of them wish for a home, wish for a job, wish for a certainty of a future that looks like mine. But I know that when we treat people with kindness, when we treat people with respect, when we encourage and strengthen, we give people hope that tomorrow might be better. The decade of 1998 to 2008 is the decade in which I went from a very gangly new student at university to a fully fledged adult turning 30. Although I tell you, I think I'm still learning to be an adult. 10 years on, but apparently it's a learning process. It's a decade that started, as I was reminded the other day, with Britney Spears' Baby One More Time as the anthem of the summer dubious music choice at the time, but it seemed to be successful and still is. We can look back at time and we will always pick moments that were good and we will always pick moments that were bad. It is our choice which we focus on. It is our choice whether we look at the things that were worse and see ourselves moving forward and look with hope to the future, or whether we live in a place where things were perfect before and only look forward with fear of what is to come. I spend a lot of time with my 93-year-old grandmother, who is unfortunately having to accept the fact that she can no longer walk very well, and really finds it difficult to comprehend that very few of her peer group are still cooking their own dinners and living in their own houses. So she has much to be thankful for. But she is facing the reality that things are only going to get worse physically. And that is true. Human beings are not designed to live forever, and if your legs start to stop working, they start to stop working whether you're 20 or whether you're 93. But she gets up every morning with hope that she will receive an email from a loved one, a picture of a grandchild or a great-grandchild, a moment that tells her that God is still there and shaping the world, a moment that tells her that someone else is dreaming big and that her job is to now support that. So I leave you with this thought, that whether you are the one hoping for the new future for yourself or hoping for it for someone else, we all have a part to play in ensuring that the world continues to hope. Amen.
Amen.